Summary of The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Markus Zusak's The Book Thief is a poignant and compelling historical novel set in Nazi Germany, narrated by death. The novel follows Liesel Meminger, a young girl who finds solace in stealing books and reading during a time of great turmoil. With themes of mortality, the power of words, love, and resilience, The Book Thief paints a vivid picture of life in wartime Germany through the eyes of an ordinary yet extraordinary girl. Part 1. Arrival on Himmel Street. The novel begins with Death introducing himself as the narrator, explaining how he is constantly observing humans and collecting souls. He first encounters Liesel Meminger when she is on a train with her mother and younger brother. Tragically, her brother dies en route to their new home, and at his gravesite, Liesel steals her first book, The Grave Digger's Handbook. This act marks the beginning of her lifelong relationship with books. Liesel is placed in the home of Hans and Rosa Hubermann, her foster parents on Himmel Street in the small town of Malching, near Munich. Hans, a kind and patient man, teaches Liesel how to read, while Rosa, though initially harsh and abrasive, has a good heart beneath her tough exterior. Liesel quickly befriends Rudy Steiner, her neighbor and partner in mischief, who is famous for idolizing Jesse Owens. Part 2. Developing a love for words. As Liesel settles into her new life, she continues to steal books, mostly from the mayor's library, where Ilse Hermann, the mayor's wife, silently encourages her thievery. Books become a source of comfort and empowerment for Liesel, helping her cope with the horrors of war and loss. Hans' compassionate nature becomes more evident when he teaches Liesel to read using The Grave Digger's Handbook. Their bond strengthens. Through late-night reading sessions, especially after Liesel has nightmares about her brother's death. Hans' kindness and quiet resistance to the Nazi regime set him apart from many of his fellow Germans. Part 3. Max Vandenburg and the Hidden Jew. One of the novel's most significant turning points occurs when Max Vandenburg, a Jewish man, arrives at the Hubermanns' home seeking refuge. Max is the son of a man who once saved Hans' life during World War I, and Hans feels obligated to protect him. The Hubermanns hide Max in their basement, and over time, he and Liesel form a deep friendship. Max, a former fistfighter, struggles with his confinement and expresses himself through storytelling. He creates The Standover Man, a homemade book filled with illustrations and words that depict his journey and friendship with Liesel. Through Max, Liesel learns about the brutal realities of the Nazi regime and the true power of words, both as a tool of oppression and as a means of resistance. Part 4. The Growing Dangers of War. As the war intensifies, Himmel Street faces more hardships. Air raids become frequent, forcing the residents to take shelter in basements. During these terrifying moments, Liesel reads aloud to her neighbors, bringing them a sense of peace and distraction from the horrors outside. Her ability to weave words into comfort showcases her growing strength and resilience. Meanwhile, Rudy continues to prove his loyalty to Liesel, often risking punishment for her. He dreams of kissing her but is continuously denied. Despite the difficult times, their friendship remains a source of light in an increasingly dark world. Part 5. Hans' Punishment and the Climax. Hans' compassion ultimately leads to his punishment. One day, he impulsively offers a piece of bread to a starving Jewish prisoner being marched through the town. This act of defiance does not go unnoticed, and as a consequence, Hans is drafted into the German army and sent away to fight. Rosa and Liesel struggle in his absence, with Liesel seeking solace in books and writing her own story. Max, fearing that his presence has put the Hubermanns in danger, decides to leave their home. His departure leaves a deep void in Liesel's heart, but she never stops thinking about him. As the war progresses, air raids become more deadly. One fateful night, while Liesel is writing in the basement, a bombing raid destroys Himmel Street, killing Hans, Rosa, Rudy, and many others. Liesel is the sole survivor. She is devastated but finds solace in the book she was writing. Death, who has been watching her all along, takes her manuscript but does not claim her soul yet. Part 6. The Aftermath and Death's Reflection. In the novel's closing moments, Liesel is taken in by Ilse Hermann, who offers her shelter and support. One day, she reunites with Max, who has survived the concentration camps. Their reunion is brief but filled with emotion, symbolizing hope and resilience. The novel ends with Death reflecting on Liesel's life, revealing that she eventually grew up, had children and grandchildren, and lived a long life. When Death finally comes for her, he returns her manuscript, telling her he has been haunted by humans and their capacity for both beauty and destruction. Themes and symbolism. The book Thief is rich with themes and symbols that enhance its emotional depth. The power of words. Words shape the characters' lives, from Hitler's propaganda to Liesel's stolen books that provide comfort and knowledge. Max's stories and Liesel's reading sessions underscore how words can heal and inspire. Death as a narrator. Death's perspective provides a unique and omniscient viewpoint, making the horrors of war more poignant and poetic. Friendship and love in dark times. Liesel's relationships with Hans, Rosa, Rudy, and Max highlight the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of love in overcoming suffering. Survivor's guilt and the fragility of life. Liesel's survival amid so much death forces her to grapple with loss and the randomness of fate. Conclusion. The book Thief is a haunting yet beautiful story about the impact of words, the endurance of love, and the devastation of war. Liesel Meminger's journey from an illiterate girl to a storyteller reflects the transformative power of literature. With Death as a narrator, Markus Zusak masterfully weaves a narrative that is both heartbreaking and uplifting, reminding readers of the resilience of the human spirit even in the darkest times.